Alright, so today we are going to be going over what equips you should be getting in part 2 of the mines. So if you didn't know, mines was split into two parts. First part's already over, second part came out today. So these are the equips you should be going for. And I did a couple summons. Didn't get Kenshin, didn't get Sanosuke, didn't get Shishio, didn't get Hajime, but I'm so glad I happened to pick up Marlette. Yippee! If you couldn't tell, I'm being sarcastic. I don't fuck with Marlette. She's not good. I tried her out, and this arch gauge up, that's pretty cool. It makes everybody a little bit faster, but yeah, she's kind of a nothing burger. She don't do anything. Makes me upset. I don't like her. But we're going to get into the slideshow. So I made a presentation. I'll be linking it in the description if you need to look at it. Alright, so this is our quarterly planning meeting. Alright, this is our agenda. Number 1, drink beers. Number 2, explain what all the equips do. Rank the equips. Tell you which ones to go for. FBGM. And then questions, comments, and concerns. Alright, so start. Here are our speakers for today. We got Rias, the MC, he's cool. Wargod Fen, the Aura Farmer. We got Eleanor and Riveria, yeah. And then these are the last quarter's highlights. So part 1 of the mines, these are some of the better equips from part 1. You got Dignified Silence, the greatest 4-star nuking support equip. Silent Treasure is one of very few 5-star supports that has more than 1 out of second for the team. And it also has a crit damage buff, but it does take away, I believe, 15% of your health, your max health, every time you use it, so you need to be careful. Make sure you have some heals so you can combat that. And then Groldola is good for Earth Nuke. Alright, and then this is how we're going to set it up. Each slide is going to have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So these are the questions that those are answering. So who do I get it from? The first one. And then number 2, when am I going to use it? Number 3, who am I going to use it on? And number 4, 1 to 10, how useful is it? Alright. And then our goals. The number 1 goal of this video is to identify the equips you should be going for. Currently, we have not done that. And then drink more beers. Currently, we are 50% to drunk. And then, you know, I've been doing this my whole life, so 100% complete. Alright, the first equip is the Hellflame Garb Gurinhito. All of these have messed up names, and I'm going to pronounce them very, very wrong. So I'm going to try my best. So you get this from the Omega Ugetsu, the fox. The fire fox, I'm pretty sure it's fire, and it might like change into dark. I don't remember, that might be a different fight. But it does say never, but I'm thinking now, and this is what it does right here. So costs arts gauge by 20, and 20% of own max HP, reduces enemies' fire and dark resistance by 6% for 40 seconds when own HP is over 20% of max HP, stacks. Alright, never mind, I take it back. Never use this, nobody should be using this. This is the worst equip, I think, in all of the mines, actually. Yeah, I'm going to say this is the worst equip in the mines. If you want fire or dark res, just use a different equip, and you'll be good. This is only going to stack like 3 times, I think. Yeah, you're going to get like 18% fire res. Just use a different equip. That's not going to kill you and suck your archgen. Alright, and then the second equip is the Scaled Branches Aurora. So all of these equips are going to be in order from worst to best. That's the way I've done it. So if you just want to know the best ones, just like skip towards the end of the video. But, you know, this comes from Annulus. I think that's how you say it. And then you're going to be using this when you're nuking weak elemental bosses. So like if you had this on an earth unit, you would be using this when you're nuking a water boss. Or like, you know, just anything that, you know, you're strong against. And then I'd put this on the nuke supporter. I wouldn't put this on the nuker, just because, you know. Okay, never mind. It increases own damage. Alright, I guess you would have to put this on the nuker. But this is a 2. Be honest. You can get better than 30% damage buff. And it reduces your arts gauge. So you would have to use this, like, use your super art and then use this. But honestly, there's just better equips, so it's a 2. And then we have the Shrieking Claws Despair. I think there's more than I'm thinking of, but the only okay, so first you get this from the Omega Subject B3, and the only thing I can think of that you use this on is the GCEX boss. So the Firebird that you can only generate arts by taking damage, and the EX buff in that, or the GC buff in that fight. So this is going to give you a bunch of arts. I would use it on Shadow, so like my Shadow equips for the GC fight, the EX boss, would be Despair, Exceeds X, and Grief. And that's gonna maximize your arch gen for that fight specifically. That's why it's a 2. I couldn't think of any other fights where this would be useful, but it is extremely useful in that fight. And then we have the Emerald Feather Biosora. This is from Tonataurus, the Earthbird. So you just use this if you need a blind recovery. I'm gonna be honest, like, you can use it on anybody. It's just a 4-star heal, but you're not gonna be using this over many heal items because it's a target heal, and most of the time when you need healing, you're gonna be needing to heal your whole party. So this is a 3. And then next up we have the Void Helm Disaster from Omega Villikers, and you would use this on final threshold attacks because it reduces all allies' physical damage taken by 35% and attack by 70% for 20 seconds. And most of the time, I mean, there is a couple equips, couple physical damage mitigation equips that are better than this. Just like have 35% or more. But if you did get it and you don't have anything that's better than it, I would suggest using this on final threshold attacks. So like anything that, so like XTF Eraser, when he does his final attack, you just use this, and then you have 35% DR, because then the attack down doesn't matter. So you can just use this on anybody with a 5-star defense, and this one's a 3, just because it's pretty situational. You're not going to be able to use it if, like, in the middle of a fight, because then your attack stat is just going to get tanked. You're not going to be doing any damage. But it's good at the end of the fight. And then we have the Runuous Coil Gale Lion from Omega Garb. This is good for a fire DPS behind a tank. You would put it on any fire DPS. It's 5-star. It just buffs your fire damage by 50%. And then all stats 50% down for first 60 seconds of quest. So this is like your HP, your attack, and your defense are all 50% down. So that is a terrible debuff just because you just have half as much health now. Half as much max health. So, yeah, after the minute, it'll go back up, but most fights aren't going to be lasting much longer than a minute. So, it's not the greatest, but the 50% fire damage buff is kind of nice. So, like, if you put this on Sunraku behind Kirasame, it'd be okay. You just need some attack buffs just to make sure his attack doesn't suffer too much. I mean, you don't want to be hitting like 170,000 multiplier with a 2500 attack stat. It's not going to hit that hard, even with the 50% damage up. You're going to want to make sure you have some attack up going with this. Alright, and then Divine Arachnid's Blood. It's from I didn't say that. Insect Princess Redacne. There we go. Got it out. Alright, so you're going to be using this on nukes. Any nuke supporter with a 4-star support, you just throw this on them, and then boom, all your allies have crit rate. Just like that. This one's a 5. Just because if you're doing a nuke and you don't have a unit with crit, you can just throw this on one of your units, and boom, all your units now have crit. It just costs 50% HP of the unit who used it. And then next up is the Blaze Garb Akanehito. Akanehito. That sounds better. Demon Fox Ugetsu. And then damage buffs behind the tank, because it is going to increase your damage taken every time this equip is used. I feel like it's skill in the game. I think that might be another GS website mess up. I'm gonna check on my phone real quick. I'm pretty sure it is every time you use your skill. I got a lot of equips I'm searching. Yep, every time skill is used, not every time the equip is used. Oh, wait. Maybe it's talking about this skill. Alright, I lied. So every time you use this, it's going to increase your damage taken, and then increase damage to the enemy by 15% for 15 seconds. So it's just going to give you a little bit of a damage boost, but you're going to want to use it behind a tank. So just don't use it on a taunt tank, and you should be good. It's a 5. And then we have the Skull Helm Dusk Roar from Villiqueurs. Only use this on magic bosses. Do not use this against physical bosses. That would just be stupid. So it reduces all allies' magic damage by 20% and physical resistance by 20%. So I'm guessing that's magic damage taken by 20%. So it's going to make you take more physical damage and less magical damage. So that's why you should only be using it on against magic bosses. And you can use this on anybody with a 4-star defense, and it is a 5. And then we have the Occult Branches Sera from the Omega Annulus. This is for Earth Nukes. Any Earth Nuke Sapoda. So reduces all allies' arts gauge by 20, increases all allies' earth damage by 40% for 10 seconds. So you would use this like, you use all of the nukes, you use all the super arts and true arts and then you use this, and then nuke the boss. So this one's also going to be a 5. And then we have the Occult Wings Rafael from Omega Freydal. You use this on bosses with low hit count nukes. So what that means is, like, I can't really think of an example, but like Omega Wilkes would be an example. Wilkes, you know, like where they just have that one big hit that does a lot of damage. So this is going to reduce your attack by 50% and damage taken for 3 hits by 80%. So it gives you 80% DR for 3 hits. So like, if the boss is doing one big hit, you use this and you get 80% DR from that hit. It's pretty nice. That's why it's going to be a 5, and you can use this on anybody with a 5-star defense. This is if you can find a situation where this is useful, it will be insanely useful, but it's kind of hard to find one where this is useful. Alright, and then the Winged Male Blue Pinions from normal Freydal. Use this against bosses who do crit damage only. Do not use this against bosses who do not do crit damage. That would be counterintuitive. So it reduces all allies' crit damage taken by 30% and increases all allies' non-crit damage taken by 20% for 10 seconds. As a 4-star defense, if you are going against a crit damaging boss, this is going to be very useful. I don't think crit damage taken is a very common buff. So this should be stackable with a lot of different equips. You can use this on anybody with a 4-star defense. This one is going to be a 6. I like this one. I think I have this one. If the boss is doing crit damage, it's very useful. And then we have the Nano Barrier Zite Shield. I hope that was right. From Zwiber Z. This is the new boss. I have yet to fight him. I need to test that out today, and then hopefully soon I'll be making that video with all of the bosses and how to beat all of them. But so this is for bosses who do not inflict status ailments. So increase all water allies and light allies damage res by 25%, and reduce all allies status ailment resistance by 30%. So if the boss is going to proc freeze or poison burn anything, just don't use this equip. Just use a different one. But if they are not using that, and you have a mono water or a mono light team, this is going to be a very good equip, because 25% DR for 15 seconds on a 30-second cooldown is pretty good for a 4-star defense. This is like, some of these 4-star defenses are like 5-star defenses, except they just have a minor setback. And this one's setback isn't that big, because it only affects you against bosses who inflict status ailments. And there's not that many of them. So you just have to use it on a mono water or light team, which is kind of unfortunate. But this one's going to be a 6. And then next up we have the Exclusion Barrier Azulvit. That one I definitely messed up, but whatever. So this is from Omega Zwiber Z. You should only use this on a taunt when the condition is met. So reduces targets damage taken from burning, poisoned, or blinded enemies by 50% for 15 seconds. So that is a pretty big, pretty significant DR. So you don't have to use this like on the taunt tank. Like you don't have to have this equipped on the taunt tank. You can use it on. So like some of the really good damage dealers have 5-star defense slots. Like slot this in on them and then use it on the taunt tank. But if like even if you don't have a taunt tank on your team, if there's one unit getting targeted for doing the most damage, just use this on them. Just make sure the enemy is burned, poisoned, or blinded, or this will do nothing, and then you might as well just use a different equip. But if you can meet one of these conditions, this is a very good equip. So it's going to be a 6. And then next up we have the Blaze Coil Annulus. This is from Garb. This is literally good on any fight, and it is good for any physical damage dealer with a 4-star physical. I really like this equip. This is the one I'm going to be shooting for because I already have most of the good ones, and I'm definitely missing this for my Summer Miyu. I want it very badly. So this one is going to be an 8, and it is going to have really no skill, so you don't really ever have to click it, but its passive is your break power 100% down, so whoever has this on them is not going to be doing any break, but if you're a physical damage dealer, you don't really need to do break. That's what the breakers are for. So it is going to give you a physical damage 25% up boost, which is very useful, especially on units like Summer Miyu, who aren't going to be breaking, but they are going to be doing lots of damage. So I would use it on units like that. But any physical damage dealer with a 4-star physical, as long as they're not going to be doing any sort of breaking. If they're going to do... I can't really think of anyone, but like Est, you wouldn't put this on Est, that would just be stupid. But most of the breakers don't have 4-star physicals, like most of the ascended ones that I'm thinking of. No, but yeah, just use this on good physical damage dealers, and it will be very useful. And then next up is Divine Arachnid's Tears. This is an extremely underrated equip, because it sounds stupid, but it is from Omega Redacne. It is extremely good for nuking, and it will cost 99% of target's HP and increase target's arch gauge by 120. So usually that's horrible. You would never use this until Summer Luvia and Heart the Fabricator came out. Because both of these units have passives that are like, okay, so Summer Luvia's is if you become close to death, everybody on the team gets 200 arts. And then Hearts is if anybody on the team dies, he will revive them and give everybody 200 arts. So, if you use this on either of them, everybody's going to get 200 arts, and then it becomes very good for nuking. Like, insanely good. If you have Summer, Rin, and Luvia, you need to get this equip. If you don't have Summer, Rin, and Luvia, you need to get this equip in case you get Summer, Rin, and Luvia in the future. And then same thing for Heart the Fabricator. It's just as useful on him. I would say it's his best in slot for his... I'd say it's best in slot for both of them in almost any fight. Just because the speed that you can get from using this equip on one of them, the nukes are dumb. That's why this is going to be a 9. This is one of the best nuking equips. Just for this reason, it is only good on these 2 units. I would not use it on any other unit, unless there's another unit I'm missing that has a sort of low HP passive. But these are the main 2. But Summer, Rin, and Luvia is definitely number 1. If you don't have this, you need to get it. In case you get either of these units in the future. Just make sure you get this one. This one is extremely useful for nuking. If you don't get it, you're going to regret it. And then the number 1 equip in mines, I would say, I would put this, it's a close between this one and Dignified Silence from part 1. So this is Grief. This is from Subject B3. It is useful in any fight as long as you are behind a shield or have a healer. And you can use it on anybody with a 4-star physical. It's going to be best in slot most of the time. So it is going to use 25% of your HP. That's not max HP, so like if you have 1000 HP, it's only going to use 250. It's not based off max, so it's not going to be that wasteful. It's not going to just kill you immediately. So it is going to increase your attack by 30%. That's cool. But it autofills your Arts Gauge by 2 for 10 seconds. And it's on a 10-second cooldown. It does have a max HP 15% down. But if you are behind a shield or you have a good healer, you will be able to use this. And it will be extremely beneficial to whoever you're using it on. Because they are going to get 2 arts a second from just this equip. And getting 1 art a second from a 5-star physical is pretty rare. So getting 2 arts a second from a 4-star physical, that's just, this equip is very good. You should definitely be trying to get this. I know a lot of people are going for it and unfortunately are not getting it. I'm sorry, I got it on my first Mines run, but you know, good luck. I'm hoping you get it. So I would say the ones you need to get are going to be Blaze Coil Annulus, Divine Arachnid's Tears, and Grief. And that is it for my presentation. Thank you for watching. Let me know in the comments some questions, comments, and concerns. And then let me know if, you got any video ideas you want me to do, anything like that. And let me know if you want me to do some live streams with some box reviews and helping you guys out do some harder content. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video. See ya!